Hey folks, Valentin the Man here, and today we'll be looking at the character responses in Maximum Action. The game was requested for a while now, and recently it was voted on by the Patreon supporters and the channel members. Today we'll be looking at the Gore, and stay tuned tomorrow for part 2, covering Destruction. It is a factor too. Now, let's begin. As always, we begin with the big mutilation, and in the case of the head, there is a dynamic-ish damage system, so if I shoot him here, like this, I should be able to just shave off a part of his face, so let's try just that, and here we go. As you can see, almost the entire face pretty much gone. And yeah, that is quite nice. So the way to get that result is, as you've seen here, either shoot very to the side or shoot from far away. So this is gonna be our far away showcase. And for whatever reason, the result for those very often tends to be this, like what was on the previous guy, top right and a bit of the left side. Not always, there is some variety, but for whatever reason that is a very common result. You'll see. Now if you shoot him from up close, you'll get this. Kind of a brain stem thing remain. Kind of like Mike the Headless Chicken. Just about enough brain for him to cluck around. And you can probably keep him alive by dripping nutrients into his esophagus. So let's do a few of the far away showcase. I think it didn't hit the head. Because there is a variety of results, but as I was saying, very often they tend to get it one I showed before, so let's see what do we have here. Now this time this side is entirely gone. Some variety, that is nice. Over here I'm not sure what's happening here. Ah, okay, so we have one more willing participant. Here I get distance and shooting from the side, and apparently some rendering glitch. Okay. So let's see what do we get. Also once again a very similar response. Who else do we have? Also once again a very similar response. I wanted this for the next showcase actually. Oh yeah, I do actually want to showcase that you can remove even the brainstem. So we killed our chicken. Now as for some of the limitations of the head damage system, beyond the recurring response, I need some more delicate weapons for the showcase. So, as you can see, I'm gonna try like shooting. I'll try to have the hits register at this part, so I'm gonna shoot right here. As you can see, hit registered there. I'll keep shooting in that direction. Apparently it caused a bunch of spasms. As you can see, like, that is what I meant with dynamic-ish. I was shooting here and this chunk of the face is what got gone. Once again I shot here and we had the jaw taken off as well. And so as you can see, it isn't quite as dynamic as we have in, for example, Soldier of Fortune. It is what it is. But I did made him dance, so that's kinda cool. Now as for the non-dismembering damage showcase, they want to show that the electric fuse boxes are just an absolute death machine. And as you can see, the hovering decals, hovering having decals is an issue that the game very much has. Both in the case of wounds and in the case of burned environment. But the wounds, as you can see, will be appearing at the point of impact or where the game registers them. And as you can see, there is a floating issue on the wounds as well, so you can see it very clearly right now. That is one of the issues that the game has, fortunately. And there is an issue of hovering wounds as well, which, yeah, as you can see, we do have some wound floating here. Let's see if we have any clear guy with hovering wounds. Yeah, kind of like this one on the head damage. Wound kind of hovers. And we could add some head damage variety caused by the explosion. So yeah, just a quick showcase of the wounds hovering. Basically that, as you can see. We don't have that issue, but a cool feature that they do have is those blood streaks. So as you can see, direction is taken into account once. And you know, like, you shoot him when he's standing up, it's gonna go down. You shoot him when he's laying down, it's gonna go once again appropriately down. But there are some pretty big issues with it that you really... It isn't me nitpicking. Those issues are present and you will very much notice. What I do have to note is the burn response, which is actually very cool. So as you can see, we do have some gradation here. So some parts of his body are gonna be just entirely charred, as you can see right around those parts, but on the edge it's gonna be kind of red. And that is pretty cool actually. So it isn't an overlay. I have tried a bunch and I've basically had the burning be on different parts of the body, so very cool. It isn't just an overlay. And as you can see, it isn't just tanning. You do have the burned part, you do have the pinkish red part, so some parts of him are very well done and others are kind of rare. I think I had one more guy. Here we go. So as you can see, showcase on one more guy. Some parts pretty charred, but the outer edges are actually very nice and red, and it is a pretty cool response. And I forgot to showcase the limb dismemberment, so you basically have just 1 point of amputation. No, I can shoot him here. Waste all the ammo in the level. On this leg it won't come off. But I shoot a bit higher. Let's do it on the same leg and it comes off, so yeah. 1 point of amputation per limb, nothing that is particularly amazing, but I will say, even with some of the limitations, the head damage is very cool, and I do very much like how we did the burning for explosives here. As for a blood spilling showcase, there is no better location, so let's see what we have. So the initial response for a non-dismembering hit is gonna consist of two parts. As you can see, there's gonna be a stain behind the character on the surface, and it doesn't have to be right behind him. As you can see, you're standing quite far away, so we have that as a part of it, and the other part, let's perhaps showcase somewhere it's gonna be a little bit more clear, a little bit more empty. It's gonna be some dripping around him and an expanding stain. As you can see here, it's also gonna be like expanding regardless of whether you have a character standing there or not. So that is pretty much what you're gonna be having for non-dismembering impacts. Until I think we have, yeah, this final expanding stain kind of signify a blood pool, I suppose. But things do get more fun when limbs begin coming off. So I want perhaps a very empty, very clean invocation for that. So as you can immediately see, just more stains. Not notably more stains, but the thing perhaps I appreciate most about it is this. The small gibs. So many games feature gibs at the moment of a dismembering impact, at the moment of explosion, but in most games they actually vanish quite quickly. And as you can see, that isn't the case here, and I will say, in my impression, those gibs last longer than the bloodstains. As you can see with our first guy, the bloodstain's pretty much gone. Lasting mass isn't a huge feature here, but the gibs do remain. And the severed arm as well. So it is something I appreciate, it is something I praise The Last of Us for, and definitely noteworthy in maximum action as well. I think it is often underlooked, and it's just used for that initial response, and after like 2, 3 or 5 seconds it's just entirely gone, and I do appreciate the games that do that part of it correctly. And as you can see, like, blew his head off, and just many small little chunks. Now speaking of the lasting mass, there are some conflicts for it, but as you can see, you don't really have like a great deal. You definitely can't have the full aftermath in, I think, most fights. Let's perhaps showcase just a few more of those impacts. Once again, headshot, you do have all of those small chunks flying, and here they are, still pretty much all over the place. What does vanish is, I think, some confetti from the impacts. Those do vanish, and we'll get right to the explosive impacts. I just wanna do a few more just dismemberment specific ones. As I was mentioning, the expanding stains are gonna be expanding regardless of whether a body is there or not. Now the explosions are gonna be mostly that previous response, but on steroids, but with one little difference. So let's see if we can see it. Yeah, those line patterns. So as you can see, it's basically like what we had with the shotgun, just a lot more mass, because you have basically more body parts coming off. You don't have the burn response, which I do appreciate, as I mentioned previously, and you will have those line drip patterns. And yeah, like, as you can see, how a bunch of stains vanished, which is a shame, but there is quite a good bit of mass spawned on the initial explosive impact. And once again, I want a clean location just to give a few more showcases, because it is pretty satisfying. I think it was his head. It didn't fly too far away, so it's mostly concentrated here. And here we go, yes, so with the exception of some hovering decals, pretty satisfying glorious response, and we do have the enemy also helping us get some more mass around here. As you can see, with the just sheer amount of mass, with the ragdolls, it's gonna be quite satisfying. And as you can see, like, explosions don't just make them go limp. You do still have the active ragdoll, so let's perhaps showcase that. As you can see, he is still actively ragdolling, and even if the explosion was to remove his head, he would still be actively ragdolling, because he still has our brain stem thing. So, speaking of the ragdolls, as you can see they're kind of... So, on a non-fatal hit, you have the character stumbling. I think I may have seen some characters fall and get up, perhaps if you use the shotgun. I'm not sure if that's the case, because I haven't been able to activate that with rifles or pistols. As you can see, you can disarm them. And he's now running away, basically. And on the fatal hit, it's just gonna be, once again, active ragdolling. And looks a little bit janky, but for this art style, I would say it looks just about right. But yeah, I do like the stumbling. In conclusion, as for the good, there is attention to detail in every aspect. The spinning and the gibs for dismembering hits are quite satisfying, particularly for explosives, and I think that for this game, the animation responses do get the job done. However, there are pretty big issues of hovering bloodstains, hovering in floating wounds, and disappearing mess. Those aren't minor or uncommon. To be fair, the mess will last longer in actual gameplay than it did in the blood spilling showcase. I was standing there, talking as I was taking fire and spilling blood all over the place. But still, I do think that aftermaths should have been much more of a factor here than they currently are. So, I can't recommend it for the gore, but there is a lot to appreciate here. Hope you enjoyed the video, do let me know how you feel in the comment section, and subscribe, lots more to come. Until next time.